Welcome to the 214 podcast. My name is Rick Carman, broadcasting from Middle America, from the land of Walmart, Tyson Food, and Northwest Arkansas, the Ozark Mountains, buddy. This is Arkansas. Hope you're having a great day, having a great week. This week we're looking at, Father's Day is this week. We got Father's Day coming up. If you're a father, and if you're planning on celebrating Father's Day, put in the comments, I'm celebrating Father's Day. And if you're better off today than you were yesterday, if you are a better person, a better man today than you were yesterday, put that in the comments too. I want to know if you are or if you're not. If you're not, what are you going to do today to be better than you were yesterday? That's what we talk about here on this podcast, is becoming better men, you know. I'm sitting here in the mountains and in my little studio here with my semi-producers, Tom. Well, the other one's not a producer, just one. And that's where after today we're going to talk about Father's Day a little bit today. Going to talk about some of the sporting events going on today, or this week, this month. This month, June, is a big month. June's been a big month for us here. A lot of traveling going on. A lot of sporting events. They got soccer, if you're into that kind of thing. What do you call it? The World Cup is what it's called. They're playing, I think they're playing hockey right now. You got the College World Series, baseball going on. We just had the basketball NBA championships, which if you're into that. We just finished softball, college girls softball. I think Texas won that. Yeah, beat Texas A&M. What else has happened sports wise? UFC night. Thanks, Tom. UFC night. Donald Trump had a UFC. I'm not that into UFC. I'm a black belt, of course, martial artist, but black belt martial artist. I'm not that into UFC. I've never really watched that much UFC. I've seen a little bit of it. I just don't like the goriness of it. But I got to say, Donald Trump put on a show the other night with it's just extravaganza, and it was impressive. And I'm really glad that I have Amazon Prime and not Netflix, because I don't agree with the things that Netflix puts out there. But Amazon Prime is just outstanding. And I was going to just turn it on and watch a little bit of that, but I ended up watching a lot of it. As a matter of fact, I had to go to bed because it was like, it was 11:30 or midnight. It was still on. And because I had rewound it and I'd watched it. I didn't watch it live at first because I was doing something else. And so when one of my buddies says, "Hey, it's on," and I'm like, where's it on? I didn't even know what channel it was on. So I found it and I was like, oh, okay. So I rewound it all the way and I watched kind of the opening ceremonies, which I thought was amazing. That the Marine Corps band, let me talk about the Marine Corps band. The Marine Corps band is just outstanding. And come to find out, it wasn't just the Marine Corps band. It was the president's personal Marine Corps band. They had a woman singing on there. I thought she was a pop artist. And it turns out she was just in the Marine Corps. I mean, it was just phenomenal. The patriotic, they had the, if you didn't see it, if you did, but they had the what do you call it? The Navy, what's the Navy guys, Tom? The flyers, the aviators. Oh, dear God, he didn't know. The Navy Blue Angels, and then they had the Thunderbirds. And they flew in formation at the same time together for the national anthem. I've never seen that before. And I've been around. I worked at airports. I've been in the Air Force. I've been around. I've actually fueled the um, what's the name of those guys? The Navy what?
Blue Angels.
I fueled the Blue Angels before when I worked at the airport. I don't know why I can't remember Blue Angels, but anyway. And anyway, it was just phenomenal. They flew over at the same time, information together. I've never seen that before. But anyway, so the UFC fights, I was like, I'm not going to watch the fighting. I just want to watch the ceremony because the fighting just makes me uncomfortable. I know it makes me less of a man or whatever, but I've just never really been into it. Because if you've ever been in a fight, you know it's kind of like combat. It looks great on TV until you're in it, right? So, but anyway, I started watching these fights, and I started, these guys. There's a lot of guys speaking Spanish, different languages, and it was, I watched them walking in. They were walking through the White House and areas of the White House. My wife, my midlife wife, she was like, I've never seen that part of the White House. I'm like, well, how much of the White House have you actually seen? But she was right though, because they show pictures of like Trump and Dana White walking out, and then then the fighters were walking out of different places. Some of them came out from the balcony, and some would let me get this off here real quick. Some came out from the balcony, some came out from downstairs, and then they had they had like Congressional Medal of Honor winners and first responders, different people like walking them out. And then when it got to the they got to the stage or whatever, the ring, and they would hug the military service member and give them or dab them up, whatever, before they went out. And then they would look at the crowd and they would like flex or, do their thing or whatever. And then they go get kicked, I guess, or kick it, just depending on who they were. Now, I didn't know any of these people. I didn't know any of the names. I didn't know any of the fighters, none of that. But I watched quite a bit because it's intriguing, like watching them fight. And like I said, I'm a black belt in martial arts, and I haven't seen martial art. I haven't done it. I mean, I haven't done any martial arts in a long time. We're actually starting back up with Krav Maga and Jiu-Jitsu this summer. Yeah, buddy. Going to get the teenage boys in the Krav Maga and Jiu-Jitsu so they can Jiu-Jitsu on somebody. You know what I'm saying? They're excited about it. I'm excited about it. I don't know how they're going to do it because I gotta prepare these kids to send them out to the real world. And I said, if you're going to be turds, you need to be able to defend yourself, right? So I'm going to send them out in the real world with some skills. You know what I'm saying? So we're working on that. I've got 2 years to turn these boys into men, and you're going to help me. Because that's part of what we're doing here. I'm actually writing a book about the 2 years it's going to take to make these kids turn these teenage boys 15 to 16 into men. And so where was I talking about? I was talking about the fighters. So I haven't seen martial arts done in a while because I've been out of the game for a little bit. And so that was cool watching the different moves that they did. Although when I started watching UFC, I started watching the Gracies, do jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. And the other night, it was it was almost like kickboxing. You didn't see a lot of actual martial arts. I didn't think there was a few kicks and stuff, and most of it was boxing, and a little bit of wrestling, but there wasn't a lot of like grappling or people. I mean, there's a little bit of it, but there wasn't a lot of people laying on the ground and grabbing the arms. There was a few guys that did that. The heavyweight guys were awesome. And some of the guys that won, I was surprised because when you're watching a fight like that, you're like, oh, that guy's going to win, no problem, right? And I was surprised to see some of the guys that I thought were going to win that didn't win, because you just size them up, as dudes, we do that. We size everybody up. And I was just shocked. I was like, oh, I, and then I was thinking, they, I was thinking about, everything that Trump does, is protested. And I was thinking about, man, I'm be really surprised if there's anybody there protesting in that crowd with all those, because all the fans are like fighters, or they're at least rowdy if they're not skilled. You know what I mean? And so I was like, I'll be really surprised to see any of that going on there. I don't know if it did or not, but that was just something that I was thinking about. To hang out with, I'm in no way, fashion, or form a UFC fighter. Like I said, I know martial art. I know Hapkido, black belt in Hapkido and Taekwondo. And, but we never fought like these guys do, and, so I just thought it would be interesting to be hanging out with those dudes. And even the guy that sang the national anthem could kick your butt, right? He's like tatted up, and he's got these arms and a beard. He looks like, I don't know who he looks like, but he's, I mean, you just don't want to mess with the guy that's singing the national anthem. That was nuts. So that was an event. Stayed up too late watching that. And then, turned out, I guess turned out there was some kind of, plot to do some damage, like terroristic stuff with a drone. I haven't really heard the story. I just saw the headlines. Try not to watch a lot of news anymore. And I try not to watch a lot of sports. Like, I know my wife would be laughing if I say that, but what I mean by that is I used to watch a lot of sports. I would watch commentary. I watched pregame, postgame, the game, commentary. Then I'd go like the next day and watch all the talk shows and what they had to say about it, everything. And I did the same thing with news. I would watch the news, and then I'd watch all the talk shows all day long. Because I don't work for a living. I'm happily self-employed by Uncle Sam, and my midlife wife provides. So I'm able to do that kind of stuff. And so anyway, I felt like I was wasting my time, or a lot of my time that I could be spent in other areas. So I stopped doing that. And so now I just kind of catch the highlights. I got a little thing on my phone, like my watch just dinged a minute ago, which was, there's a manhunt underway somewhere, So I get these headlines, and if it's interesting, or if I think it's impactful, I'll read the headline, or I may watch a story. But I'm not sitting all day anymore and watching all these talk shows. It's ridiculous, and they all say the same thing, and they're all stupid. But this one isn't. The only thing you don't waste your time doing is watching YouTube. So I might tell you to get off all social medias. I'll tell you to get off, stop watching TV, go outside, do something. But if you want to watch YouTube, just watch this channel. Click subscribe, whatever you got to do to make it happen. Watch this channel. So if you like it, if you don't, turn the channel. Talk bad about me later. So anyway, I don't know if I said this. My name is Rick Carman. I'm a retired Air Force captain. You can call me Captain. You could call me Captain Rick. You could call me Rick, but don't call me Shirley. I just came up with that, Tom. Yeah, he liked it. So you'll hear me refer to Tom or Tom off camera a little bit. He's my oldest, and he's semi-producing the show. I'll have him look stuff up from time to time. I have a memory that is like that of a gnat, or maybe like that of a squirrel. Certainly not like that as a elephant. my memory is really bad. There's parts of my life that I've forgotten, that I probably want to remember. A friend of mine who I'm actually doing another podcast with, eventually, I was in his wedding, and he is going to complain about this. When you watch this other podcast, if you like this one, watch the other one because it's going to be even better. He complained about this, and it's such a sissy. But apparently, I went to his wedding. He's like, dude, I'm like, I don't remember going to your wedding. I mean, I remember, I remember your wedding, but I don't remember being there. He's like, dude, you were in the wedding. You were in the wedding. Like I was a groomsman. I don't remember. I don't remember lots of things. I remember stuff like now, like I remember current things. But like back in college, I played football. I remember a few games. I don't remember like my college life, probably because of all the alcohol. That was not a good situation. And we'll talk about regrets on this show later. I've got plenty of them. But I don't know if my memory problems have to do with, and I'll get off track on this show. This is just a talk show where I talk about my life and about men. I have actually a rundown where we talk about man stuff like being over 50, being being in shape over 50 and all that stuff. And if we get to it, we get to it. That's kind of the idea. But we'll talk about different things, especially at the beginning of the show. We'll talk about just random stuff like sports and all that stuff. So right now we're talking about my memory, and I don't know if it's from football. The midlife wife thinks it might be from football. The military thinks it might be from military concussion type stuff, or maybe from some other stuff, but neurological stuff, But I don't know. I don't know what it is from. But what I'm doing is I'm doing a lot of more reading. Like I'm reading. I got like I said, I got off the TV and the news, and I watch sports. I'm watching sports. I know about all these sports. I watch a little bit of sports here and there. Football season rolls around, I'll watch more of that. But I don't watch. I never have really watched a whole game since I was in high school, or since I got married. I haven't really. Okay. Since about 5 years, I haven't really watched a whole game, except for Arkansas Razorbacks, which is our home team here. Let me tell you something about the Razorbacks. Let me just get this off my chest. They're the Cleveland Browns of college football. And if you know anything about the NFL, you know what I mean. So I love them. I love them like you love that one relative that nobody likes at the holidays. That's how I love the Arkansas Razorbacks. Like this year, I'm going to watch them. We got a new coach that I'm not really convinced about because it's been 10, 20 years since we've been any good. And I'm going to watch them this year to watch them fail. You ever do that? I'm going to watch them and say, ha, they suck. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. And I like watching other teams that are good. Like, I like Texas I like teams that have the players I like, I like Texas. I like because, I'm not like, consistent with one team. I don't have that kind of loyalty, so to speak, because players aren't loyal anymore to us. Like the players that don't, I'm not even going to get started on the first episode ever, episode number 1. I'm not going to get started about this college NIL stuff. I'm not even going to talk about it. We'll talk about that later. I'm not talking about it right now. But anyway, so I root for different teams every year. It really irritates some of my friends, but these teams aren't loyal to me. These players aren't loyal to me. So why should I be loyal to them? So I started rooting for teams that win or players I like like that Manning kid in Texas. I like that kid. some other players, and whether a team gets on a roll, or teams that have the coolest looking uniforms. I like those kind of teams, So that's, hang on. So that's kind of what I do. And so back to my memory, So anyway, back to the wedding story. So I told the dude, I was like, I don't remember. He's like, dude, you were in my wedding. I was like, okay, man. So and I told him, I said, look, don't feel bad. I don't remember a lot of things, and so that's kind of what we're gonna do here. What were we talking about? I got this little rundown I'll look at. We're talking about Father's Day. So I want you to put in the comments if you're most of you, if you're over 50 and you're watching this podcast, you're probably a father. You might be a grandfather. I started late in life because I bounced around a job after job, woman after woman, and I finally found the right one. And then, so it was when I was getting my career started in the Air Force. And so we got started late. So I'm 50. I just turned 53, man. I just turned 53. And I've got a 16-year-old, teenager and a 15-year-old teenager. And trust me, they're teenagers. But anyway, a lot of you probably are grandparents by now. I don't know if I'm ever going to get there as a grandparent. I don't know, A, if I'm going to live long enough. B, I don't know if these kids are going to be able to talk anybody into marrying them. My parents thought that about me too. We do have an older one. They won't let me use any of their names, but he's in the Air Force and he is in Korea right now. And he's I've raised him since I was 8. Since he was 8, he was my wife's first, and so he's so we got that one. Father's Day. So I'm going to see my dad. He's a Marine Corps Vietnam vet, and we're all proud of him for that. Good job, Dad. We're proud of him, A, for being a vet, and B, being alive, still alive. I'm proud of you, Dad, for being alive. And he still has all his faculties, they say, right? He's got all his faculties, not like Joe Biden. Faculties. Yeah, a little iffy, right? And but he's got a good sense of humor, so I know he will appreciate this podcast. But so we're going to see him, and we're going to try and build a deck. Now, I don't know if he wants us to or not, but we're going to try to build a deck for him. And we always wait till it's really hot to do that. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to down there a couple days, 3 or 4 days, and in Little Rock, and we're going to do that. And I'm going to try to shoot not a podcast down there, but maybe like an episode for my YouTube channel. And I'll put it up on the screen. It's I haven't shot the first episode of it yet, but it's called Gen Expert. And so I'm a Gen Expert, get it? So that's what that's going to be about. And it's going to be about like men over 50, just advice, 10, 11 minutes or less, little things. So make shoot some stuff like that down there with him. And so we're going to enjoy that. And then we're going to talk about, I got to think of what I'm going to take him, Father's Day gifts, right? Who does Father's Day gifts anymore? I mean, like my midlife wife, she doesn't do holidays. We don't really do holidays. The only holiday we really do is Thanksgiving. We don't do Father's Days, anniversaries. My in-laws gave me crap because they gave me the business because I didn't give my wife like flowers for our anniversary. Well, her saying is, don't buy me flowers, they just die. She forgets our anniversary half the time. So I didn't do that. So I caught crap for it because most people do celebrate that, especially men giving their wives stuff. So who does that? Who does or does not celebrate? And if you do celebrate Father's Day, what do? Do you grill out? We don't really celebrate Father's Day. We just kind of like get together and grill. I don't know if that's called celebration. There's usually not a card or, there's usually like steak or something on the grill and, just relaxation time. I don't always go to my dad's for Father's Day. Matter of fact, I hardly ever do. I normally stay here and my kids and my wife wouldn't know it's Father's Day if I didn't tell them. Every now and then my wife will come home on a Father's Day with like pizza or some kind of tool, and then I'll say, oh yeah, and I'll pretend like I didn't know it was Father's Day, but I really did, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of where we're at with Father's Day. We're going to go down there. We're going to have a good time. We're going to do some shooting. I think we haven't shot guns in a while, so we're going to go do some of that. Dad's got a great range. And what else we're going to do, Tom? We don't know. We don't know what we're going to do. We're just going to have a good time, get away from the farm life here for a while and relax a little bit. And it's just going to be me and one of the kids, and leave we can't all leave the house at the same time because we got too many animals, too many dogs. I don't know if any of you have dogs, but it's hard to leave dogs. So we don't do vacations very well. We don't do, long trips with all of us. It's just like I can't find a dog sitter. I live out in the middle of nowhere, so I can't find somebody to watch the house half the time. Half the time I can't get anybody to work on the house. Half the time I can't get anybody to help do anything out here. I'm doing it all myself, and I don't know how to do much of anything. Okay. So when I was growing up, I was an athlete. I played every sport. I played college football. I was even a cheerleader. Did I say that out loud? Rewind that, and I'll delete that later. I said something about the cheerleading thing. So yeah. So when I was growing up, that's all I did. That was kind of like what my thing was, all that. So I hunted a little bit, but I wasn't really, mostly like duck hunting. I wasn't really an avid hunter. I went deer hunting once, and that's about it. We just didn't have time for that kind of stuff. And so now, my wife's uncle is, he's kind of a manly man, and he's a hunter, a gatherer, and he's an older guy, and he's a veteran himself, and he's like hardcore, you know what I'm saying? He's like, you got to hunt something and kill it and eat it right there on the field without cooking it. You just rip it open and just bite into it, grab a squirrel and just eat in that squirrel like a man, So he's actually going to help me with my changing these boys into men this summer. He's going to teach us how to hunt, teach them how to hunt. He says he's going to teach us how to shoot. I say we know how to shoot already. That's one thing I've done all my life, but mainly pistols. I got to be honest. But so anyway, that's our plan for Father's Day. Put it in the comments, man, if you want to, what your plans are. If you want, I'll mention you on the show next week, and we'll talk about what some of you guys did. I'd like to hear what I know. A lot of people go to the lake. We haven't been to the lake in a long time. When I was a kid, we used to go to the lake all the time and water ski and camp out, ride motorcycles. Kids these days aren't interested in any of that. It's like getting them outside is pulling teeth. You know what I'm saying? So, so I know a lot of you guys are still going to Lake. I got a lot of friends that are my age that are still like partying and going to lakes and going to concerts and being outside, and they hang out with people. Some of them go to bars. I mean, I stopped doing that 20 years ago, so I don't know. I don't know if I'm wrong or if they're wrong or if nobody's wrong. If just people are who they are. I say I got friends. They're not really friends because they won't call me back or text me back. They're just people that were friends that I grew up with that are still on my Facebook page and I never talked to. I got one friend that, we were best friends and he never talks to me, never texts me back or at all. I get it. They're busy. People are busy. People are busy. But I mean, come on now. If you text me, I don't care who you are, I'll text you back. Even if you're somebody I don't like, I'll text you back. But then again, I've got a lot of free time on my hands, if you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? I got a lot of free time. Yeah, buddy. I'm not going to a 9 to 5 like some of you guys. See, on this show, we talk about retirement a lot because old Ricky Boy here is retired. And Ricky Boy here is his own boss. I mean, I'm running a business, but I'm retired from the man, from the world, so I don't have to answer to nobody except the midlife wife. And, that's okay. That's okay. She lets me do what I want most of the time. So a lot of guys working, man. So I think retirement in the military, or at least when I was in, was like I was in the Air National Guard as an officer, and I worked full time, like I was in the, wore uniform every day, but I was like, worked for on the federal side full time. If you know what that is, some of you might know what that is, some of you might not. But so retirement there was, I think, 57 is when you can start. I mean, you retire after you're 20, but when you start drawing your retirement is 57. I was able to draw retirement right when I retired because of an issue that I had, to be named later. Let's just say if you keep watching, you'll figure out why and how I retired. But I was able to get my full retirement. And so that means that meant I was able to start a farm in in the media business. So that's what I do. So I know a lot of you guys are probably still in the workforce. So a lot of what we talk about here is changing jobs at over 50, because I have some friends and some relatives that are trying to do just that. They're just like, man, I'm not happy where I'm at, or they got downsized, or COVID really screwed up a lot of people up. And so now they're like over 50 and trying to change careers, or in let me tell you something, man, they're not hiring. If you're not, I mean, if you're plugged into the pipeline of your career field, you probably get another job, connections and all that stuff. But if you're switching career fields, or if you don't have an education and you just had like experience or certificates or something like that, there's a lot of age stuff going on. People don't want people our age. I mean, think about it. There was a time when we were like, okay, I want to be I want to be a musician, or I want to be a football coach. I think I'm going to go to school to be a football coach, or I think I'm going to go to school to be, this or that and the other. I mean, in your 30s, maybe even the early 40s, you're like, you still had dreams, right? You still had ambitions. Man, I want to be a punter in the NFL, or man, I'm going to go try to qualify for the U.S. Open golf. But now, man, over 50, I was thinking about this the other day. You start thinking about them dreams, and you're like, yeah, man, I'd like to. Wait a minute. I don't really have time to get that started. And if I did, I'd be 50 years old starting over in a world where there's a bunch of 25-year-olds. Who's going to hire me? And when you think about it like that, you can get depressed really easy, man. So try not to think about that. But here we talk about that kind of stuff. That's what I'm saying. And I want to know, are you retired? Or are you not? How old are you? Because I don't know a lot of what's going on out there in the real world. I retired when I was 43. No, 47, 40, 46, something like that. So I've been retired since 2017. I'm 53. So yeah, can't do the math because brain stuff. But anyway, let's see where we're at here. So talk about holidays. First of all, let me say this. If you're over 21 and you're a dude and you still celebrate your birthday and you're not like a Hollywood celebrity or you're not filthy rich and you have friends to entertain and you're still celebrating your birthday with a birthday cake and all this stuff, friends over, I'm just going to pause for effect. Let's just say 21 is a great birthday for obvious reasons. You can purchase a gun, right? And I guess you can drink. You don't want to drink and shoot. But that should be the last celebratory birthday party, unless you're like a girl. I don't know what girls do, right? That could be cute, have all the girls together celebrating birthday party. Maybe, I just don't see it celebrating birthday. Matter of fact, now I try to avoid my birthday as much as I can, so that's my 2 cents on that. So I want to talk about being a man. So the other day I go to Sam's Wholesale. We live in the land of Walmart up here. And so on every corner, there's a Walmart. There's a Dollar General on every corner too, but on every corner, there's a Walmart up here. Northwest Arkansas, Fayetteville, Rogers, Springdale, Bentonville. You probably heard of Bentonville. You probably never heard of the other ones. And there's a lot of other places up here that have Walmarts. So we go to a lot of Walmarts. So I go to Sam's the other day for the midlife wife to pick up. We buy our groceries and, there. And you pull up there and they bring the stuff out to you. And I thought, man, this is great because I don't like talking to people and I don't like crowds and I don't like traffic and all that stuff. So I just pull up. My wife calls in there and they bring stuff out. Now, you're not who's a pop the trunk guy? I'm not a pop the trunk guy, Joe. Tom. I'm not. I'll edit that out. If you're a pop the trunk guy, you know what I mean. You're somebody that sits there and waits on the person to come. Pop the hatch guy. I'm sorry, not the trunk. Maybe you got a trunk, but usually it's the hatch. These people that you got your Gen Z guy coming out there and he's dropping off your groceries and you pop the hatch and you sit there and wait on either somebody to steal stuff out of the back of your car or Gen Z to bring your groceries like a bigger man than you. No.
Sitting in your house when there are movers doing all the work.
Yeah. No. You have to get out and you have to help them people unload, especially if it's a girl bringing your food to you. Don't be pop the trunk guy. I saw this the other day. Some dude, I don't know how old he was, but city guy for sure. And he was like popping this trunk, and I'm like, dude, get out, be a man, load up your stuff. Then I was thinking about this. So I'm not a pop the trunk guy though. I'm not a pop the hatch guy. I get out, I unload all my groceries, or I'll load up all my stuff, you know, and I'm like, thank you, Gen Z. I appreciate it. You know, going about your way. Love you, Gen X. But then I started thinking about it. I'm like, man, why am I sitting out in the parking lot like a woman, letting them bring me groceries when that store is called Sam's Wholesale? You know what Sam's Wholesale means? It means that store is a warehouse. What is more manly than a warehouse? No. It's a warehouse where they sell anything you can want. It's like Home Depot, but for food. They sell anything you want to eat. They sell TVs, big screen TVs. They sell stuff in bulk. That's a manly word right there, bulk. They sell stuff in bulk, B-U-L-K. Is that how you spell it? Bulk, yeah. Not only that, this stuff is on pallets. That's a manly word too, pallet. So they sell stuff in a warehouse, in bulk, on pallets. And I don't want to go in there? What's that all about? What's that all about? Then, on top of that, you have to have an ID card to get in there. It just gets even better. Military ID, regular ID card. You have to have an ID card to shop at this place. This ain't regular Walmart here. This ain't. I don't know what Costco is. I think it's like the city version of Sam's. But I'm thinking, man, I told my wife, I said, I need to get my Sam's card renewed or redone. I haven't had it in 20 years. So that's what I'm thinking. So I'm a Sam's guy now. I'm a go inside shop at Sam's guy now. I just got to get my ID card and all that stuff. So that's pretty revolutionary. I thought, revelation, that I had. So yeah, Sam's is just a manly store. I liked it. It felt good to have that revelation. So today, what else we got? Today we're going to talk about I don't know, finding purpose after retirement. We could talk about that. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how many of you retired. Once the show gets started, we'll be able to talk about more things. Our subject matter will evolve because I'll see your comments a little bit better, and I'll know kind of what you guys are going through and what you're trying to do in life. And we'll kind of feed off you guys. You want to ask questions, I'll read them. I'll read your answers, or I'll read your names and talk about you guys. Say, hey, so and so wants to know about this or that and the other or whatever. So I can do that. But I do have some subjects, we want to hit on, want to talk about, I want to talk about retirement, finding your purpose after you retire. So maybe if you're in the military and you retired, how hard was it? Of course, in the military, when you retired, you're usually a little younger than your normal retiree, but not always. Sometimes you could be 40 and 50 years old retiring. So you're starting over 50, and you got that DD 214 on life, right? And you were starting again somewhere else in another job. So how'd that go? Let me know how that goes. Let me know your journey. Tell me a little bit about your journey. And if you hear any noise at all, we got people in the studio that don't understand that there's a show going on, so that may be part of it. So just ignore it if you hear it. So today I want to talk about finding a purpose after retirement. I had when I retired, it was difficult for me because all my rowdy friends hadn't settled down yet. You know what I'm saying? They were all still working. So I went from the workforce to a force where it was just everybody was still working. Everybody still had kids. A lot of people have kids that are already out of the house, and so I got the worst of both worlds. Like when I was retiring, all my friends were still working, and I had to find friends that were like 70 years old or 60 years old or something. And then now that all my friends are getting ready to retire, their kids are all gone out of school because they had kids early, most of them. And so I still have kids in the house. So it's kind of flip-flopped in a weird way, So that's kind of where I'm at right now. And so I went through a lot of issues, a lot of depression stuff, and just trying to find myself, and I know a lot of you probably are going through that same thing, just trying to find yourself, trying to figure out who am I or what am I going to be. And if you're 50 or over 50, you're like, what can I be at this age? What can I do? How much do I have left? It depends on your health, and it depends on your experience. It depends on your education, right? And it depends on I don't know, your well-being or something. But so that all that factors into what you've got left, And so I had to make a decision that I wasn't going to just sit and waste my life away. Matter of fact, the Gen X YouTube channel, it's not really a podcast, it's just a YouTube channel. My first episode is about not wasting your life. And I don't feel like I'd wasted my life because I'd done a lot of things in my life. I was in the military, I was I played sports, I was a pilot, went to war and back, survived that, got married and all that. I've done a lot of things in life, but so I don't feel like I wasted life, but I do feel like there were seasons where I just wasted time, and that's probably a better way to put it, wasting time. Where I sit in front of the TV and watch sports and watch the news, and I didn't want to go outside because I had all this stuff to do. I had lots of acres, and I had lots of stuff to do, and there's so much overwhelming work to do that I didn't want to go outside, and because I didn't know where to start. And so I wouldn't start. So I went through a phase like that. And, finally I just figured out, I'm either going to die on this couch or I'm going to get up and do something about it. So I decided to get up and do something about it. And the reason I did is because the midlife wife said, hey, this guy on YouTube, he was some kind of homesteader or something. He does this thing where he does just a little bit every day. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, well, he goes outside, like he was a farmer or something, you know, and he goes outside and he says like, look, I don't do all this overwhelming stuff. I just do a little bit every day. I just do like small 1% a day. I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, that sounds stupid. How are you going to get something done with 1% a day? Right. And so, so I did that. So I was like, okay, I'll try it. You know, I'm like 1% a day. So so my wife's telling me you don't have to do all this work. You could just go out there and do a little bit and come in. I'm like, okay, sure. Give me that hall pass. All right, I'll do it. So I would go out and I would do, you know, I would just mow part of the yard, you know, mow the backyard. Maybe the next day I went out and mow the front yard. The next day I went out and, you know, I'd, you know, cut a tree down or something, mow a pasture. And then the funny part is, the cool part is I'd come in and it's like, yeah, did my 1% today. Yeah, buddy. She'd be proud of me. I'm like, what the crap? I found the golden ticket here, buddy. I do my 1% a day. Tell her about it. She's happy. I'm happy. I mean, things aren't done, but they're getting done. They're getting done at a slow pace, but they're getting done, whereas before nothing was getting done, right? So I was like, man, this is something else. And I just kept doing that. And I've been doing that now for, I don't know, 6 months or 6 or months or a little bit longer. And I'm telling you, it changed my life. And so I was like, man, where'd this come from? You know? So I started doing research and I found out, and you guys probably already know this. If you are on the internet at all, you know this. Let's see if I can find it here. Oh, this guy named James Clear. His name is James Clear. Go find this guy on the internet. And his story is amazing. I bought his books called Atomic Habits. I'll try to put a link. I'm not set up, you know, yet, but I'll try to put a link down there where you can just click on it and go. But it's called Atomic Habits. And if you don't want to read the book, just go watch. He's got, I think I haven't been to his website, but in the book, he said his website was jamesclear.com. I don't know if it's, try and go there. And I'll try and link that too if it exists. I haven't been to the website, but go there and but it's called Atomic Habits, and it talks about this 1%. He invented this, as far as I understand, he invented this 1% rule thing. And it started because he was a baseball player and he got hit in a baseball bat and he almost died. And, you know, it was really a great story. And then he started to do recovery. He had to do just a little bit. He didn't call it 1% at the time. He just did a little bit at a time. And, you know, anyway, he developed this program and he started doing it for businesses and coaches and all over the country. And now he's on like every podcast that I watch, every podcast out there that I've seen, he's been on. You know, he's probably been on Huberman. I don't know, Huberman, however you say it. I know he's been on that Diary of the CEO thing, I think. He's been on Mel Robbins. So he's been on all those shows. He hasn't been on this one, but maybe someday. But anyway, I encourage you to look into that. And I encourage you to think about that, because if you're in a rut, if you're depressed, if you're like, I'm just in a rut, man, I'm over 50. There was a story that he told, like working out. There was a story he told about a guy, because it's not about the 1%. It's about developing habits. And the 1% helps you develop habits. And the habits we have now are bad habits. Habits you want are good habits. So he talks about a guy that went to the gym. I don't know the details of the story, but the gist of it was he would get up every day and go to the gym and he would just work out for 5 minutes and then he'd leave. And he did that for several weeks, months, whatever, because he was developing a habit of going to the gym, and eventually he started working out and losing weight and all that stuff. So it's kind of like, that's the concept, right? And so So I started doing that. I started getting out, and I started doing it before I knew about this James Clear guy. I started doing that, and then after I started reading his book, and it's just amazing how it has really changed. It'll change your life. It will change your perspective on life. It will change your perspective on, how you go about your day. Because now, like, you don't have a lot of time, especially if you're still working. If you're still working, you can use this at work, completing tasks at work. You can use it at the gym, working out. It's kind of like that thing where, okay, if you don't go to the gym and do something, just do something, because if you don't, you're not going to be better today than you were yesterday. And that's the whole goal with this podcast is, let's be better men today, better humans today than we were yesterday. What did you do yesterday to make you a better human today? Do you want to go die and go to heaven and God say, so what did you do with the life I've gave you? I think about that all the time. What did you do with the life I gave you? I think it's Matthew 25 where he talks about the parable where the master gives talents to 3 different guys, and 2 guys invested the talents. One guy's like, I didn't do nothing with it, man. I just saved it. And he's like, you're not a good dude, right? That's kind of what I feel like when I waste my gifts, my life. That's part of the reason I'm doing this podcast. I worked in television and radio early in my 20s, and that's part of why I'm doing this, because I don't want to waste my talents in life, and I don't want to get up there and God to say, dude, I gave you this life, and you sat on the couch and watched TV and watched sports and didn't do anything with it. Didn't go out and enjoy your family. You didn't go out and enjoy nature. You didn't go out and enjoy the land that I gave you. But now that you're in heaven, congratulations on that. But what am I going to give you here? You're going to have to be the janitor here. You have to be mowing somebody's lawn because you didn't mow your own lawn. You didn't maximize what I gave you on earth. So why should I give you more here in heaven? Think about that. Let that sink in. I don't know that a lot of people really think about that. Look, we're going to talk a lot about the Bible and a lot about God on this show. If you don't like it, this probably isn't the show for you. Now, I'm not going to preach at you, and we're not going to read the Bible because I got another podcast for that. But the Bible is the foundation for how your life is going to turn out. It's that book. People say, "Oh, I had a baby. There's no manual for a kid, is there?" Yeah, there is. It's called the Bible. Your baby, your grandchild, that kid comes with a manual, and it's called the Bible. Read it, know it, learn it. That Bible will tell you how to raise your child, will tell you how to live your life, and will tell you what to do for the next 50, 60, 100 years. So that's going to be our foundation of how we're going to transform into our later years and how we're going to look at our life after 50. At least that's how I'm doing it. You could come along with me and I could share what I've learned. And I'm hoping to learn a lot from you guys because I don't know anything. I know nothing. I'm just a dude sitting there talking. So, so that's where we're at with that. And that's kind of, it's changed my life. And then I read that book and actually I haven't finished it yet. I'm actually in the process of reading the book, but just go find the dude on YouTube and watch it, watch a few interviews. You'll understand what I'm saying. And just let me know. So what have you done? What's going to be your 1% today? What's going to be your 1% tomorrow? How are you going to improve? I tell my kids this all the time. I go in there, they're playing video games. I'm like, what did you do today to make yourself a better person? What did you do yesterday to make yourself a better person? Played Halo, okay. Well, if you're going to be a professional Halo player, I guess that's good, right? So that's when you think about it like that, you think about wasting your life, wasting your time. Why would you do that with what God gave you? So that's what I try to think about every day. Now, am I perfect? No. Do sometimes I waste time and sit there and eat M&Ms for no reason? Yeah. And that's another thing with this 1% thing. You can do 1%. 1% goes both ways. You could do 1% of things adds up to a big thing. And you could do it on the positive side, or you can do 1% of bad things that add up to one big bad thing. Like if you sit there and eat 1% of chips every day, 1% of candy every day, 1% of chocolate every day, whatever it is, 1% of alcohol, it'll add up. You'll become an alcoholic. You'll get fat. You'll do whatever. So it works both ways. So you got to be careful. What's good is not, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, they say, or whatever that means. I don't know. Somebody gonna have to grok that, or what do you call it? Chat GBT that, So I don't know where we're at. Let's see where we're at. So this first show is going to change. So I don't know if you ever watched sitcoms before or TV shows, but usually sitcoms, the actor will get the character going, and the first few episodes are kind of choppy, and then then maybe sometimes even the first season, the actor is trying to find the character. I can't stand actors, but I'm using this for a reference. The actor's trying to find the character, and so the character evolves as the actor gets kind of in the swing of the character. So sometimes it takes a season, sometimes it takes 2 or 3 episodes, but then once they hit their stride, maybe season 2, they really have honed in on the character, and they're like, oh yeah. So then when you go back and watch old episodes, you're like, man, that was a total different character. And even the writers are involved. The writers are still trying to find the character. So, and then you'll go back and watch the first season. You're like, that season sucked, So that's kind of where we're at with this show. This show is going to change. I got a set behind me. Look, this is the basic set. I threw this together to do this thing, and this is basic. Hopefully it changes over time. I got my friend Josh coming around. We're going to do, it's called One More Round. It's going to be another podcast. We're going to do a podcast together, and we're probably going to do it at first like talking heads on computer, and then at some point we're building a studio where we're going to be in person, so we can do in-person interviews. So I'd like to do in-person interviews of the people that we talked about before. If you didn't watch my introductory video to this, episode 0, or ground zero, I call it. This podcast is going to be doing a lot of interviews of military veterans, professional like cops, firemen, first responders, people that are just pastors, coaches, people that are just positive people and influencing people in their career fields or in their communities and stuff like that. So we're going to do a lot of episodes like that. Some of them we're going to travel to do. Some of them we're going to do on the computer, like face to face, and some of them we're going to do in person. So we're trying to get that all set up. So that being said, this set is going to change over time. I'm going to get better lighting. I'm going to get better backgrounds. I'm going to be their stuff. One thing I do got going on is I got the hats. Look, I'm bald, right? You guys know this, right? If you watch the first episode 0, you know I'm bald. Bald dudes wear a lot of hats. I love hats. Why? Because I got to wear a hat. I wore hats all growing up and wore hats in the military. And when I got bald, I wore hats to keep my head safe. So I've got a lot of different hats, around here. You'll see in the backdrop. Over here, I got different hats. So I'm going to be like, cool thing I'm going to do is, whether you like it or not, I'm going to do hat a month, like hat of the month. Like this apparently is going to be the hat of this month. So I'll do one episode a week, and this will be the hat for 4 weeks. And then, so at the end of the year, we'll have 12 hats that will have been hat of the month. So that's kind of my plan. If you have any ideas for hats, put it in the link below. I'll check it out. If you got like a Amazon thing, I'll click on it. If I like the hat, I'll buy it from you. Or if you want to send a hat, if you got a company name, I'll talk about it or whatever. We'll see about all that. If you got any ideas, let me know. So, I hope you like this podcast. We talked about, doing 1% a day, like I was telling you, I'm reading books. Like I'm reading 3 books right now. I'll get in each book, not every day, but I'm definitely reading the Bible every day. I'm doing a Bible plan right now. It's called, what's that Bible plan called?
365.
No, the other one. Bible recap. TARA-LEIGH, and we're doing 365. We're doing 2 of them. So check those out if you like those. Try those out. And I'm going to be doing another podcast, a Bible podcast. That's going to be just reading through the Bible. You can check that out if you want. I'm not. We're not even close to that yet, so I'll let you know when that happens. But exercise. Walking 10 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day, whatever you can do. The key to growing old better is gotta stay in shape. And what I've learned is you gotta lift weights. My friend Josh, who I'm doing this other podcast with, it's going to be about men over 50. He's a kinesiology major. He's going to talk a lot about health after 50. And that's what we're going to talk a lot about that over there. And it's going to be some of the shows going to be the same, but this show's me kind of telling my story. That show's going to be more organized, I would say. So you can check that out whenever it comes out. It's going to be coming out in probably July, I would say late July, somewhere in there. He's not even on board. He's not even on ready yet. He's got some things going on. We talked about, 1 Corinthians 16, 13 through 14 being the staple of this show. Act like men, be strong, keep the faith. I butchered it, but it's something like that. Yeah, I was going to talk about some other stuff, but I think this show has been going on pretty good. So I think we're going to end it and do something tonight, today, tomorrow, something today to be better than you were. And I want you to put in there, hey, this is what I've done to be better. And it could be anything, So I want to hear from you on that. I want to be interactive with you. I think it'd be kind of cool. So anyway, you got anything else, Tom? He doesn't have anything else. So I'm Rick Carman. You've been listening to the 214 podcast. Until next week, get up, get out, and get better.